Hey coin collectors! Welcome back to your go-to spot for all things coins and currency. Today, we're diving deep into a very popular coin, the USA 1-cent Liberty coins from 1988. What are they worth? Are they rare? And should you hold onto them or cash them in? Let's find out. First, let's set the stage. The 1988 penny is part of the Lincoln Cent series, which has been in continuous production since 1909. Unlike earlier designs, the 1988 coin features the familiar Lincoln Memorial on the reverse and a portrait of Abraham Lincoln on the obverse. These coins are made primarily of zinc with a thin copper plating, a change that started in 1982. Now, you might be wondering, what's so special about the 1988 penny? Well, honestly, not much if you're looking for rarity or high value in circulated condition. The 1988 Lincoln Cent was minted in huge numbers. Over 4 billion coins were produced at the Philadelphia Mint alone. Here are some quick facts. Philadelphia Mint, over 4.1 billion coins. Denver Mint, around 1 billion coins. No special mint marks on Philadelphia coins, while Denver coins carry a D. So, what's the value of a 1988 penny that's been circulating in your pocket or the change jar? If your coin shows signs of wear, scratches, dullness, or a faded copper color, it's classified as circulated. And circulated condition, these pennies are generally worth face value, which is 1 cent. But why? Because they are common and made from inexpensive materials. Most collectors prefer coins with minimal wear, called uncirculated or mint state, which can fetch a little more. Now, don't lose hope. Some 1988 pennies do have value beyond 1 cent. If you find a 1988 penny in uncirculated condition, meaning it has no wear and retains its original mint luster, it could be worth between 10 to 50 cents depending on its quality and grading. And if you're lucky enough to find an error coin from 1988, like a double die or a striking flaw, those can be worth a lot more. But those are super rare and require expert verification. Here's a quick tip on telling circulated from uncirculated pennies. Look at the color and detail. Uncirculated coins shine with a bright copper color and sharp details on Lincoln's face and the memorial. Circulated coins will appear duller and details may be worn down, so, should you keep those 1988 pennies or sell them? If you have a handful of circulated 1988 pennies, it's best to use them as everyday change. They're not worth much more than 1 cent, but if you're starting a collection, keep an eye out for uncirculated coins or any interesting errors, and consider having them graded by a professional. To wrap up, the 1988 USA 1-cent Liberty coins in circulated condition are mostly worth face value, but their historical significance in the Lincoln Cent series makes them fun to collect. Before we talk about the value, let's take a quick look at the history behind the 1988 Lincoln penny, because every coin has a story. The Lincoln Cent was first introduced in 1909 to celebrate Abraham Lincoln's 100th birthday. It was the first American coin to feature a real person instead of symbolic images. The obverse design, created by Victor David Brenner, shows Lincoln's profile, honoring the 16th president for his leadership during the Civil War and his role in abolishing slavery. Why 1988? The Lincoln Cent had been minted for nearly 80 years. While the design remained mostly unchanged since 1959, when the reverse was updated to feature the Lincoln Memorial, the composition of the penny did change, and 1982, the U.S. Mint switched the penny's metal makeup from mostly copper to primarily zinc, coated with a thin layer of copper. This change was due to the rising cost of copper, making it too expensive to continue the old way. The 1988 pennies you hold today are mostly zinc underneath that familiar shiny copper shell, so the 1988 penny represents a coin from the modern era of American coinage, still honoring Lincoln's legacy, but made in a way that keeps production cost-effective. That's why millions and millions were minted each year, including 1988. These pennies were made to keep commerce flowing smoothly as pocket change across the country. The 1984 Lincoln Cent, often called the Liberty Cent, and exploring its history, design, and most importantly, its value in circulated condition. So, if you've got a handful of these pennies lying around, you might want to stick around. The 1984 penny is part of the long-running Lincoln Cent series, which started way back in 1909. The coin features the iconic profile of President Abraham Lincoln on the obverse side, designed by Victor David Brenner. The reverse side, during this era, shows the Lincoln Memorial, a design that was introduced in 1959 to celebrate Lincoln's 150th birthday. This coin is made of a copper-plated zinc composition, which was introduced in 1982 after the U.S. Mint phased out the solid copper pennies due to rising metal costs. That means your 1984 penny is 97.5% zinc and only 2.5% copper plating. And 1984, The U.S. Mint produced an impressive number of these pennies, over 6.1 billion in total. This includes coins from the Philadelphia, No Mint Mark, and Denver, D Mint Mark mints. Because of the huge mintage, these coins are pretty common and easy to find in circulation today. That's great news for collectors who want to build a complete Lincoln cent collection without breaking the bank. Show visuals of different penny conditions: heavily worn, moderately worn, and lightly worn. When we talk about circulated coins, we mean pennies that have been used in everyday transactions, so they show wear and tear, scratches, color fading, and sometimes even small dents. For the 1984 Lincoln cent, circulated examples are generally graded as good, G, very good, VG, fine, F, or very fine, VF, depending on the amount of wear visible. Most pennies you find in your change will be somewhere between good and fine condition, so what is the actual value of a 1984 Lincoln cent when found in circulation? The short answer: not much over its face value. Most circulated 1984 pennies are worth about 1 to 5 cents each.
Why?
Because of their sheer abundance and the fact that the zinc core is much less valuable than copper. Older pennies minted before 1982 are mostly copper and tend to be worth more when copper prices rise. But since 1984 pennies are mostly zinc with a thin copper coating, their metal value is very low, often less than 1 cent. That said, there are always exceptions in coin collecting. If you find a 1984 Lincoln cent with mint errors, like double dies, off-center strikes, or unusual planchet flaws, it might be worth a lot more to collectors. Some 1984 error coins have sold for hundreds or even thousands of dollars, but these are extremely rare and usually require expert grading if you want to collect 1984 pennies. I recommend checking for these key things. Look for the mint mark. Denver D coins can sometimes be more desirable. Inspect for any unusual features or errors. Avoid paying more than face value for circulated coins without special attributes. Show visuals of a magnifying glass inspecting coins. Oh, there you have it. 1984 Lincoln cents are common pennies, mostly worth face value unless you find a rare error. They're a great way to start or build your coin collection without spending a lot of money. Today, we're diving deep into the world of the 1980 Liberty Head 1-cent coins, also known as the Lincoln pennies. We'll explore their history, design, mintage, and most importantly, their circulated value. So, whether you're a seasoned collector or just curious about your loose change, stick around because this one's packed with info. First off, a little background. The Lincoln cent has been a staple of U.S. currency since 1909, famously featuring President Abraham Lincoln on the obverse side. The 1980 penny, part of the Lincoln Memorial series, continued this tradition with the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse, a design that lasted from 1959 until 2008. What makes the 1980 penny special? Well, this year falls right in the middle of the copper era for pennies. Up until 1982, pennies were made almost entirely of copper, 95% copper and 5% zinc. The 1980 pennies you find in circulation today are mostly this copper composition, which adds a little value compared to the later zinc-heavy pennies. The 1980 penny was minted at 3 locations: Philadelphia, No Mint Mark; Denver, D Mint Mark; and San Francisco, S Mint Mark. The San Francisco coins were primarily proof sets, so they're less common in circulation. Now, let's talk circulated value. If you have a 1980 penny lying around, chances are it's worth its face value, that's 1 cent. Most circulated 1980 pennies aren't rare because millions were minted. The Philadelphia and Denver mints each produced over 4 billion pennies in 1980. However, condition is everything in coin collecting. A well-preserved, uncirculated 1980 penny can be worth around 25 to 50 cents, sometimes even more if it's a high-grade specimen. Proof pennies from the San Francisco Mint can fetch a few dollars, but those are usually only found in sets. One exciting aspect collectors watch out for is error coins. For 1980 pennies, notable errors include double dies or repunched mint marks, but these are pretty rare. If you find something unusual on your penny, it's definitely worth getting it checked by a professional. So bottom line, if you're just curious about the 1980 penny in your pocket, it's mostly worth 1 cent in everyday circulation. But if you have a clean, uncirculated, or proof coin, or even an error variety, you might have a small treasure worth more. Circulated 1980 penny face value, 1 cent. Uncirculated 1980 penny, 25 cents to 50 cents. Proof 1980 S penny $1 to $5 plus error varieties. Varies widely. Sometimes $10 or more. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the 1980 Lincoln penny, be sure to hit that like button, Subscribe if you haven't already, and drop a comment below telling me what coin you want me to talk about next. Have you found any rare pennies or interesting errors in your change? Let me know. Thanks for watching, and remember, sometimes your pocket change could be worth more than you think. Until next time, happy collecting!